We've all done it. All you have to do is turn up and do what you know how to do, but somehow you completely blow it. You won't be surprised to hear that this is an item about the England cricket team, of which highlights after this programme. But what is it in nature that makes our minds and bodies, particularly English minds and bodies, fail spectacularly when the pressure's on? And why does it happen? All of us know here in the studio is Andy Barton, who's a sports psychologist. We're joined from Bristol by Dr. Harry Witchel, who's a physiologist based at the university there. Dr. Witchel, this is usually attributed, this sort of failure, to some sort of psychological block or incompetence or something, but could it have a physiological explanation?
Well, certainly the beginning stages I would expect to be completely psychological. But if these players are under a lot of stress mentally and put themselves under stress consistently, then they will ultimately cause small amounts of damage physiologically. What ultimately happens is if they get into a stress situation where they have too much of the hormone cortisol, they can start breaking down proteins, essential parts of tissue, very small amounts, which might not make a difference for a normal person, but to perform at an elite level internationally would be quite troublesome.
What do you make of that assessment then, Andy Barton?
Yeah, certainly if too much stress, too much what you're thinking has a major impact on what you're feeling. The two are inextricably linked. The mind and body are essentially one item.
So there is a physiological factor at work here?
Yeah, the physiology impacts on what you're thinking, and what you're thinking impacts on your physiology.
Now, Dr. Witchel, if that's true, I mean, you know, all sorts of bodily functions we understand, why we sweat, for example, but what evolutionary purpose is served by that sort of physical reaction?
Well, if you imagine an evolutionary situation in which we are not living in homes and nice middle-class lives, but rather that we're actually trying to get food, and there are brief periods where we either have to run away from predators of ourselves or get prey, then what we really need is an ability to very quickly mobilize energy. The stress hormone cortisol, along with a variety of other stress responses, is very good for that. Our difficulty is what happens if you have consistent mental stress in an environment where you can't actually expend physical energy. And I don't think that we evolved to actually cope with that particular situation.
So there is an evolutionary purpose to be gained by, as it were, bottling it?
I don't know about by bottling it. I think the evolutionary purpose was to always win. That is, to escape from predators or to be able to catch things that are being hunted. But now that we have lived a different lifestyle for which we did not actually evolve, there is a former purpose that we might not be completely suited for purpose with the kind of stress wiring we have for a 21st century lifestyle.